What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel with Exhausted. So as you can see, the Sunny boys have come back out to play, and what we're going to be doing today is the most scary part of a turbo build for most people: drilling and tapping the oil pan. The reason why this is so scary is because if you get shavings into the oil, that could basically go through the oil pickup and damage your engine. And secondly, you don't want to get it wrong, drill a hole in the wrong place or mess it up so the tap doesn't go in. Then you'd have to pull the engine, take off the oil pan, replace it, and then do it all off the car, because that's very time consuming compared to just doing it under the car. So I'm going to show you how to do that to minimise the risk. Obviously it can go wrong even if you follow these steps, but as long as you're careful, do it slowly, there'll be no problems and you do it properly. So without no further ado, boys, let's get into the video and drill and tap the oil pan.
So the things I'm going to be using for this video is initially a centre punch, so we can centre punch where we're going to be drilling. Then we've got a 9/16 drill bit, which is the size I'm using for the fitting I'm using, but if you're using a slightly different size fitting, or if you want to use a slightly different size fitting, just make sure you match up the drill bit, the tap, and the actual connection, so they're all the right size in essence. So I've got a 9/16 drill bit, then I've got, I can't remember what this is off the top of my head, what is it? It's a 3/8 18 MPT tap, so we've got that. And we've also got our fitting for the oil pan, which is 3/8 18 MPT on one side, and then like I think this is a 3/8 or half-inch barb hose on the other side. Can't obviously remember off the top of my head, but we've got that bad boy there. So that fits the hose we're using, which is right here. I've got a fuel/oil line, which is very great for this sort of thing. Got a load of parts up there, which we're going to be installing at a later date. So first of all, let's get under the pan and centre punch, drill and tap this. So if we have a look under here, what we want to do is we want to drill and tap the oil pan just around here, within that sort of bottom corner. We've got to be very careful because the oil pickup line is right behind here. So I'm going to show you what to do and the necessary steps to follow to make sure you don't hit that. But what we're going to do first is we're going to centre punch a nice hole around here, so a nice little indent, which will stop our drill bit from slipping around whilst we're drilling. Next up, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using some electrical tape to basically wrap the tape around here to stop the drill bit going in further than we need. So we want to do more than not enough here, so just use a hell of a lot to make it nice and thick. I leave about a centimetre at the top because that's perfect for it to go through the oil pan. This is quite thin, but not long enough to damage the oil pickup line. And if we have a look on there, you can basically see that there's a nice thick bit covering that, so that's not going any further into the oil pan than we need. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to be using some grease, or Vaseline works perfectly, but you can use automotive grease, anything of that sort, and we're going to completely cover the threads of the drill bit. And now we've got that bad boy completely covered. I did a couple of videos ago when I showed you my parts corner. Shout out to all you boys who said this was for another task. Well, in fact, you're wrong. It's actually for this. I'm not sure if you saw in that video, but that is the vital reason for wrapping it with electrical tape, because when a drill bit this size goes through, it will pull you through, and it did start to pull me through until it hit that. So that is why you do that, guys. Make sure you don't forget that, and make sure you don't forget the lubricant. Now we're going to grab our 3/8 MPT tap, and we're going to basically tap the hole we've drilled in the oil pan. Exact same procedure with this. Use hell of a lot of lube to make sure, or lube, grease, to make sure that you catch any shavings which come off, which inevitably do when you're tapping something. And as you can see, this does the job splendidly. There's so many shavings in there, which would all be in our oil if we didn't do this carefully. So we've successfully drilled and tapped the oil pan. I'm so pleased that that's gone well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put some red thread locker on this thread because we don't want this coming off, and that's basically going to seal it. So we're going to go ahead, cover this in red thread locker, and then thread it into our tapped hole. So as you can see, we've got that completely threaded in. We're just going to obviously wait for that to dry with the thread knocker so it's all in place. But now I'm going to go ahead and pipe up our oil return hose. I don't know if you guys can see up there, but I've basically attached my 5/8 hose onto the oil return port, which I've screwed in onto the turbo using a hose clamp. And now we've basically got it down here. I haven't cut it to size yet because I thought I may as well put it on here and cut it under here so we get the perfect length. We've not got any slack. So we're going to go ahead, line this up where it's going to go, cut it to size and then hose clamp it to the sump. Success! I need to do a turbo oil feed directly into the top of the turbo, and I haven't completely decided, but I think we're going to run it from one of these ports on our oil filter relocation around the back of the engine straight to the turbo. After that, I'm just trying to think if we've got anything else to do. I mean, we need a couple more hose clamps for here and here. But yeah, apart from maybe like draining some coolant and everything like that, we're all done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a complete oil drain to see if there are any little bits of metal in there, and if there are any, we'll take them out with the oil. So to drain our oil, on the bottom of the sump we've got a 19mm bolt right here, which I've just cracked loosely, but as soon as I take this out, the oil is going to pour out. So make sure we've got a bucket to catch it all in. That's how that's been used for this job before. And we're going to go ahead, loosen this, and try not to make any spillages. Lovely oily hand, fantastic. Living life on the edge at the moment because oh no, it's gonna overflow. I forgot to put more oil in for the oil cooler. Actually, we may be just about okay. That hand though is absolutely sexual. Yeah, we're going to be fine. The only issue we're going to have is moving this pot. I'll show you what the pot's like after this finishes draining out. So this is the slight problem we're having. It is literally right on the edge. Shit. So I'm inevitably going to spill some of this. Next time I need to know to use a bigger pot. Normally this holds the 3 litres that it takes, that the engine takes. But yeah, and since we put the extra ½ litre in, we've buggered ourselves. I completely forgot I did that. It's just completely slipped my mind. So yeah, let's go ahead and try and move this without making too much of a mess. You can already see where it's missed slightly. But damn. So we've managed to drain the oil completely, just about. It was a bit of a nightmare to take that thing out for sure. But what I'm going to do, I'm not going to fill it back up yet. And the reason for that is obviously we need to do like an oil temperature sensor, oil pressure sensor. We've got to also do, what else do we have to do? The oil feed. There's no point filling it back up to have to drain it again to do that. So I'll fill it up in a later video, probably at the end of this video, because I'm still waiting for my oil feed line, but that should come today. So yeah, you'll probably see that shortly. So now we've got our oil feed attached into the turbo. As you can see, I've placed down some like toilet paper just in case oil comes out of here, but the system's already completely drained, so we should be okay. I'm taking out the 2 plugs on the side of here. The bottom one's going to be for an oil temperature gauge, so I've got that right here, which is this kind of like goldy brass looking fixture, and we've got the connector to go into the other side of the AN line, which is going to go on top. So I'm going to take both of these out, here and here, and then plug this one into the bottom and screw it in, and this one on the top. Simple as that. So as you can see, we've got our oil feed, which goes directly from here, all the way around the back to the turbo. So that's our turbo oil feed and oil drain. Now all I've got to do basically is plug this back in to the turbo, which is one of the water lines, because I had to take that off in order to get the oil feed in. So yeah, let's do that now. So all of our oil and water lines for the turbo are done. So I'm going to put some antifreeze into the radiator, and we're going to bleed it. in a little bit, basically, because I need to go to Halfords in Bromley to get a couple more bits and bobs. But yeah, we are pretty much done, boys.
So guys, we are ready to pretty much start the car. I've just gone around everything we've touched and checked to see if we have any loose connections and tightened everything up as tight as I possibly could. So now we're going to load up the tuning software on my laptop, plug it into the car, and we're going to load a turbo base map onto the car and see if this bad boy starts. So guys, I've got the laptop out. We are going to load the tuning software. Now I can never pronounce this. It's like MIATA or something like that, or MIATA. But we'll load this up and then I'll show you how to load in a base map. So what we want to do is we want to go to calibrations, load calibration file. All of these base maps are available to download on the Motorsports Electronics website. So I've downloaded the 1995 MX5 1.8 with RX8 injectors and TDO4 turbo, which is the exact setup I've got. So we'll click on that. It will come up with load calibration wizard. So we're going to go all on quick selection and click load calibration. Let it load into here. And then I'm just going to basically plug the ECU connector into here, and we're going to connect the ECU. So file, connect. So, like I was saying before, we've loaded the calibration and it's all connected to the ECU. It will say connected down at the bottom right hand corner in green rather than ECU disconnected. So we're going to ask us if we want to send the calibration file to the ECU. It says a couple of warnings, stuff like that. Completely ignore that. Smack yes. So now there's a little bar across the screen. It's loading this tune directly onto the ECU. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check a couple of things. I'm going to check the timing and the wideband readings, everything like that on the wideband table. So that's under HRT's WB02, which is wideband O2 sensor. So I'm going to check those tables, make sure everything's in order, which it should be on the base map, but just to be on the safe side. And then we can go ahead and start the car.
It's running. My AFR is slightly better. It's gone up, as you can see, but it's not where it should be still. Let's have a look on this software. I'm going to check on the software. So it's gone back up to 12, so it's almost there. File.
So is that it? It's turbo now.
See on here it's 14. That's sweet. So basically if we have a look on my gauge here, you've got 12, 13. And then if we look down here on the actual, which is coming directly from the ECU, our figure's 14, which is fantastic. So I think we're good. I think it's working. I think.
So guys, I am so stoked. It finally works. It runs with the turbo and we don't seem to have any issues. The only thing is a slightly high AFR ratio, but I think that will be sorted through doing an auto tune when I'm driving, and it will tune the AFR to a safe level. So I've got no leaks. The only thing is I've got a tiny bit of coolant gathering underneath the radiator, which I think is due to the plug being a bit fucked. I bought it second hand. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out a way to sort that out. I've got a couple of ideas of what to do. Most likely going to use like a rubber washer in between the plug and the radiator, and that should seal it nicely. But yeah, I can't stop smiling. I am the happiest person on the planet as of right now. So it finally works. It should pass its MOT as well, because it seems to have eliminated my AFR issue. So it was running quite lean before, and now it's not. So success. I think it's all good, and I finally can say I've got a Turbo MX5. So yeah, this is the final video of finishing the turbo build, but there's going to be loads more upgrades on the turbo system. So this is not the end of the series. by any stretch. I've still got to install a couple more gauges, like the water temperature gauge and the oil pressure gauge, everything like that, to get them all up and running, so it's going to be completely safe before I start hooning it around way too much. But it's going to be taken on a test drive, most likely tomorrow, I think. Haven't 100% decided yet, but I just can't stop smiling. I'm the happiest person in the world. And I didn't even think we'd get it up and running today. I thought I was just doing the oil feed and oil return. So, what a result. So yeah guys, thanks for watching so much. If you enjoyed the video, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe down below, and turn on that notification bell to stay up to date with the latest and greatest exhausted content. And if you're stoked, just like me, drop a comment down below saying I am stoked. But yeah, that's all for today's video, and until the next one, boys, adios.